Om Mani Mani Mahamani Swaha, Om Mani Mani Mahamani Swaha, Tayatha Gate Gate Para Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha, Tayatha Gate Gate Para Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha, Tayatha Gate Gate Para Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha, Tayatha Gate Gate Para Parasam Swaha, Tayatha Gate Gate Para Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha, Tayatha Gate Gate Para Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha, Tayatha Gate Para Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha, Tayatha Gate Gate Para Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Tayatha Gate Gate Para Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha. Sanje Chodan Sote Chodan La Janju Badu Dani Gapsuchi Dani Chujen Kibe Sonam King Jola Badu Sanje Parasho Sanje Chodan Sote Chodan La Janju Badu Dani Gapsuchi Dani Chujen Kibe Sonam King Jola Badu Sanje Parasho Chodan Sote Chodan La Janju Badu Dani Gapsuchi Dani Chujen Kibe Sonam King Jola Badu Sanje Parasho. Simja Tamja Togala Macheva Sanjay Kumarambo Chile Tovacha. The agent and the Janjus and the Latin Twitch and Yantuangi, Lama, Shinko, Simona, Togo, Tola, Petition, Manoa to Koto, and the gospel of the Labnik should be in substance.
So let's set our motivation to do whatever we possibly can to attain the peerless state of enlightenment through perfecting all the trainings on the Bodhisattva path. Knowing that to perfect those trainings, I need to gain a correct and thorough understanding of them based on being able to study them, and I need to study based on a non-mistaken presentation, a non-mistaken text. So it is with this in mind that I'm here this morning to listen to an explanation on the graduated path to enlightenment teachings. Die Shokran Chukchuk Tamba. And the Nibadi, Nebagena, Nene Lamgirimba Lojong. So, Moshebalani. Kilgedia.
Rata Kajaja Takanja, the Kotel Children Chambeja, Getana Ngala Sobe Tamba, Kansap Sevan Shania, Tomar Nanjonda, Johnson. La Noa Chitin Chapugures, they gave out that Tene, Gawa Tamja, Tabata Tamja Kimber, your Omedo Joy Bayanza, Joy, then Della Gomim, Choba Chabana, Lambin, Mashimba, Mashimba Yesos, what the Mashimba Yesos.
So that we have been looking into really the kind of motivation necessary to engage in the study of the stages of the path to enlightenment, and we had just stopped last week at a particular quote by Lord Manjushri, who talks about really put aside really your aspirations for the moment for the profound sort of instructions regarding Tantra and so on, and really concentrate on really developing an experiential understanding of the mind of renunciation and the mind of enlightenment itself. And so by doing so, that then all virtues that subsequently are accumulated will automatically be the causes to attain liberation and the omniscient state of enlightenment. So if you do not do this, then you are really not really understanding at all. You're not getting the point with regard to the gradual stages of the path that need to be practiced.
我的他感觉这个啷个这边做大的家长这个现在他你把第了你把你呢那啷个是把了落章的中国写完了你是他感觉落章了可是他落章就我写完了你这啷个早心里点最大点的落起他这边是把我是
And so it's really then following your own conviction in how necessary it is to train on the path in stages that then it says here in the main second outline that having gained conviction, and then you set out the actual explanation of how to train the mind in the stages of the path. And this has two sections itself. One is looking at how to relate to the spiritual teacher as the root of the path, and then secondly, then having related, engaged in that relationship, then how to train the mind in stages. And so this, the outline of how to correctly relate to the spiritual teacher will be dealt with in two sections. One, what to do during the actual session of practice, and then what to do in between sessions. And that with regard to the first, what to do in relation to correctly relating to the spiritual teacher during the time of a session, that is again going to be split up into three sections: what to do in preparation, during the actual session, and in conclusion. And with regard to the first, what to do in preparation, there are a set of 6 what are known as preliminary practices that one must, in order to set oneself up for actual meditation. And these 6 include the cleaning and sweeping of one's place of practice, one's room, and then setting out a display of representations of the Buddha's body, speech and mind, then laying out a beautiful arrangement of honest offerings, and then finding a comfortable seat to sit in, preferably adopting the 8-point posture for sitting, or at least finding a comfortable sitting posture and seat. Then one habituates or meditates on going for refuge, developing the mind of enlightenment, and the 4 immeasurables. Then there's the visualization of the merit field, and then the practices of the offering of the 7-limb prayer and mandala offerings, which concentrate on the accumulation of merit on the one hand, and then the purification of negativities on the other. And finally then there's the supplication practice. And so it said that really as whereas these practices, yes, come in the context of the graduated path teachings and presentation, yet it's very good practice to adopt them with regard to any meditation that one is engaging in. And indeed, it's said to be really important that we really kind of like blend these practices in our own mind as like a really important personal instruction in order to really facilitate the actual development of realization, since for example, the practices within the seven-limbed practices are concentrating on just that, of purifying obscurations, negativities, and accumulating positive merit in order to do that, to really open the mind up, to expand the mind, deepen the mind, to actually receive realization. So the term is that all of these practices need to be really mixed with one's mind stream. And so that's with regard to the first of these, taken as the cleaning of one's place of practice and the setting up of an array of the Buddha's body, speech, and mind, and that again, with regard to the place of practice, whether it's in a monastery or it's in a valley of healing herbs or in a mountainous hermitage, that one is doing that cleaning, for example, with the purpose of, again, cleaning the dust and dirt, and also wiping away, purifying one's negativities and obscurations. So it's kind of meshed with a practice. And it's taking here, say, in particular, if one is has a place like a mountainous hermitage, and there's some space around your hut or cell that you can then make four kind of stone cairns, which represent like four treasures in the four directions, and these represent the four great kind of guardian kings, and that these in turn are, when one reflects on these four, that it's in order to, on the one hand, dispel any interfering forces, interfering conditions, inconducive conditions, obstacles and so on to one's practice, and to establish all conducive, favorable conditions, so that one can bring one's practice to actual realization. And the four of the kings, these four that are mentioned, are Dhritarashtra in the east, Virudaka in the south, Virupaksha in the west, and Vaishravana in the north. In Chinese temples, they have these representations of the four kings in the four directions. I think they have. And so that's again, this is of course, if one has a space in order to be able to establish these cairns in the four directions. If one doesn't have the space, then one visualizes, one imagines that. And outside this, so these are outside your cell. And so then also, so one then can visualize that they are actually present, even if one isn't establishing something physical for that, and that one then offers torma and offerings again, and in a way you're really charging these four guardian kings in order to, like it says, to really dispel any inconducive conditions to the success of one's practice, and to garner all the conducive elements and conditions to for a successful practice. So then looking at the Sanskrit vowels that accompany the in the four directions, that you have the D, B, B, B.
Yeah, what it is, D, B, 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 B.
And so that's like in place of or along with, if you actually establish those cairns, but if not, like that will do, just to have that and then visualize that the four kings are there and they're doing that job.
That kind of man. 인지문제 된데 그럼 좀 맞죠네. 소소 냠내데 최신도 제 아니 대 아니 저가서 대바죠에 아니 저기 대속에 되게 아니 저가서 다 요번 매바체네 엔티 도와주실래 저로스네 맞고 요말와 맞고 요말에.
And so of course that
맞죠마 임바이네 소소 냠내 제도 비다고 제바이나 아니 그 대바 송년서 도와주실래 저 프란 링게로 소소 최는 시 지게 요바이나 최도 투바 지게 요나 아니 대바라 편도 지게 대조 편도지에 디프랑게 랭게레스 인지미저 토마테나 편도지게 토마마테나 편도마지게 마레스 이내 당가 라주게 지금 멤버 그런 쓰고 초함이다 좀 이렇게 말와 맨도 제 소수 최도 투바지게 이나 아니 최도 투바지게 될라 아니 조지에 프랑스 랭게레스.
And so that's of course, to do all this is not necessarily obligatory. It's not actually vital, because anyway, if one is engaging in practice that is in harmony with the Dharma, these conducive forces will be there to support that. They have a sort of responsibility in that sense. And so if there's kind of a benefit that they can bring to somebody who is acting in accordance with the Dharma in this context, then they will do so. So like for us as beginners too, to have this kind of sort of detail may bring up sort of a lot of I would say mental proliferation on our part, to go, maybe I'm not doing this exactly right.
보다 된데 가라줄다 그치 가서도 냠내지에라 도와지게 개개세게 된데 유여 삼삼 삼류 돈에는 그걸 롯데 버셔 봐. 알아서.
Oh, so it's the other way around.
Yeah.
That so it's
다
like
유여 버와. 얘네 다 알아서 거는 다들 지금 도저지 얘네들 야전시면 얘네들 처벌이 필요. 개개세를 봐. 소소는 다들 유여 삼삼 지금 알아서 내가 당 몰라. 로 야부죠 보다.
So yeah, it starts the other way around. That actually having such detail and being able to establish all that for one's practice puts our mind at ease. So because we have these kind of mental proliferation of not knowing maybe how we're doing things right, but if we have the externals like this in place, then it kind of brings some sort of sense of peace or sense of calm. A sense of correctness to the mind, so we have a better chance of practicing well. But as I said, that the success of our practice isn't totally dependent on whether we make the correct dharma offering or not. That if we whether we make it or not, if we're acting in accordance with the dharma and in harmony with the dharma, and then the beneficial forces will be there to support that. But we're just trying to make the kind of like the description is in terms of quality, isn't it? We want to make things as excellent as possible for practice.
다 쳐봐도 도마서 필요. 다 자주 남겨는 거 거발라 개개 빠져서 튕겨 주고 틀려줘. 다 나게 내가 되니라서다 소소 남의 제사 내 되니라 아니 착자 다 그래서 착자 다 디발다 착자다 거 정말 강바도 배짱말 와 다지다 태라 요게 다 사자 가서다 지금 되게 다지 대사도 들에 삐다 보면 매바이나 아니 거 태라 라인에 가서 추트도 떨지 마잖아 태라 랑기로와 뭐다 착자다 없어도 거다 단지만 냠내 지금 그거 가서 나 튕기 쪼고나 쉬고요 봐야 다 돼서 태라 라인에 가는 요 왔다 돼서 착자다 태라 말아 장마서도 착자다 없어도 태라 말아야 제대로와 다 이나 디발다 강바 삐다 보래 거 태라 라인에 그 요만 왔다 다가 이나 다 돼서 되는 순고요 어째 이면도 약 이제 추리 스타일 그나 땡기러 왔대 말이야 가서는 다 이제 돌 거예요 맞다 다다데 냐마게다 냠내 봐서 쇼사 패치와 차제시라 야부 매분자 한거 착자다 추도르지 마잖아 태라랑기로 왔다 맞서지
And yes, and so these particular offerings and dharmas and so on is to entreat and charge these forces to support one, to on the one hand eradicate any inconducive conditions to one's practice of the stages of the path to enlightenment, and to support all conducive conditions to that practice. So going back to the cleaning of one's house, it has the detail here of not just sweeping, but also sprinkling of water to keep the dust down. And again, I was saying, well, this has to be taken in context, of course, from previous eras when practitioners had very, very poor conditions, and so they sprinkle some water in order to stop the dust from rising was an essential part of preparing for practice. But of course, in these days, when we have very clean floors, this may not be relevant. Otherwise, you might think it's necessary part, kind of an essential ritual to sprinkle water on your carpet. And again, to always keep in mind, be mindful that when one is doing any cleaning like that, sweeping, cleaning, that one is purifying negativities and obscurations.
치다 신제 강당 대교체 안디날마 론 아니 치다 신제 강가세는 소소 뒷바데 뒤바 강가세 안디 카드 마 좀전 아니 카티 마존다 고두인의 체험에 맞아 도지 ගැටම් 체잖아 어때 내수 삼삼체 아니 주나 당 남주사 고바시단잖아 이게 지지도 제니로 거는 이게 사디 게나 사베다 르바쿠 마겐 사 크렉스와 사겐 안테나 치다시 카탄 되겠지 안테나 게니 되마 게니 되게 마사 다 소소 게니에서나 디바드 디바 인사자체 데 바차트 잡은 사수 삼사 아니 사사도 이 치마 중소 삼사 아니 카마 치다시 카 중소 삼사 카 중바될 때는 안 도지 ගැටම්체 안테나 사타수 틱수 삼사 어떤 데 공부하시거나 소소들 그래서 체중을 평균의 수도와 또 체력이 돼야 된다. 그래서 중에다 냠도 삼도 당토는 약으로 봐.
And so then there's an actual visualization of what to do when one is disposing of the rubbish and the dust that one has cleaned as well, that one can really visualize that where one is putting the rubbish, that it's like as if the ground opens up, there's a crack in the ground, and you visualize the figure of the Lord of Death with massive mouth open, facing up, and one is disposing of the rubbish in that way, and it's in essence one's own negativities and obscurations that one is disposing of, and that these are swallowed, devoured by the Lord of Death, and to the point of great satisfaction. And that, and then once that has been finished, then you see that the mouth closes over. Not only that, but that one seals the mouth of the Lord of Death with a double dorje and a double vadra, and then also the crack in the ground that you visualized opening up seals again, and it's firm. And that's so this is a very good visualization, not just in kind of completing that practice of dispensing of your negativities and obscurations in the form of the dust, but also it's said to be auspicious for one's own long life. So it's great that I suggest that we do this not just in the context of preceding meditation on the graduated path, but indeed every time, because we always have to clean, don't we? We're always dusting and cleaning and sweeping. So to use this kind of visualization when one is disposing of the dust would be very good.
Den jamzu ta kusun tu ke den jamzu ta kanje jiga so de den dangbo ne jamjang ba yin ba yin na ani kusun ku den de ge jiga shu xie in de jiga shu ne de ge yuan de zu jiga ko ne jiga shu ta sa du de yin na ko ze dang de ki de la tu ba san je zhong den de an san je ku de le jiga song ju da an ram ne yu gen chi an tang ga yin na de ji man ga ri de ne ga yu ma ba ku ran yin ba yin na ne song ju yu gen an ram ne yu gen chi tang ga yin ne ram ne yu de gen chi what did it get it what the sang jump did the key the
So yes, once then has really created a place that you're happy with, a clean place for practice, and then you set up the array of the Buddha's body, speech, and mind, and that here one is in the space in front of one, in a straight line in front, in a high place where you place the statue of the Buddha that you have, or it can be a representation in the form of a picture or a tanka, and that best if you have it consecrated, fully consecrated, at least blessed, that you can use that and place that then in the space in front.
Wata dina shi che wata kanja sake chomde te kuchik ta kanja wata ta kacha te ta so shu so so ta dila sanje ngo ki tu she sha 아니 다 되는 가서대디 그 예초라다 산지가 송 여기 저라다 좀 최대 보다도 투대 고송 투송으로 왔다 어딘데 전 다간제 어딘데 야 인지 민지 최대 과야도 인지 민지 고 과야 내게 말이다 여봐이나 됐지
And it said that this process of placing representation of Shakyamuni Buddha on an altar in front is kind of like really following in the footsteps of the great Kadampa Lamas of old, and that they used, an image or a representation of the Buddha that was very familiar to them. And in those days, they would the ordained monks would wherever they went, they were always bring with them a representation of the Buddha, either a statue or some reliquary, kind of a votive statue of the Buddha, and that it was kind of like they were inseparable. So this was the idea, that you have a Buddha with which you are very familiar, and that's kind of inseparable in your mind. And so you place this in that high position, and very as beautiful as you can. And so on the right you can add a text, on the left a representation of the Buddha's mind in the form of a stupa, and that one is visualizing, perceiving of the Buddha as an actual living Buddha, the actual Buddha there. And again, this kind of if one has these details, that's very, very good, but again, they're not absolutely necessary. So again, like I said, if one has that, that's good. If one doesn't, then one can make a mandala, and that this can be like a piece of very smooth plaster on which one puts some cow dung and perfume mixed. And if not, then one simply has a piece of flat wood or a flat stone to represent the base of the mandala, and then you use barley or the rice grains as whatever is appropriate, whatever is available, and then make 9 small heaps with the grain, and that these heaps represent the Buddha and his close disciples, his inner circle.
다 바조스도 바조고 좋아 요새 그거 계좌 많다. 되고 가서 공부까지다 규도도 규매다 공부된들 코란도 믹스 바중 소유샤 같은 요 바중 리보스. 되게 여러분들 먼저 한번 가서 바조고 좋아 인생 그거 제대로 말해 봐. 코란들 지금 바이 개주요래. 안데 오마다 좋아다다 안데 딱까지 마다 라서 같은 데 제대 안데 제주제는 코란데 믹스 개주된 요래.
So here it says that like the cow dung is in the monasteries and in the tantric colleges and so on. They use pills. They're like these special pills that are used, and they're made of the substances of the cow. Like you have milk, curds, urine, and the dung and abati. and butter, yeah. And so that these pills come from that. So these are considered as sacred substances. So there's a lot involved in how these substances are combined into the pills. So there's a special time for doing it, special rituals and so on. It's not simply a matter of collecting them and making pills. So yes, in these practices, these kind of substances are not considered as soiled or contaminated as we might think. Might sound very, very odd. Go and get some cow dung and put it on your mandala. And again, that if one doesn't have all of this, one goes through the process by imagination. One visualizes that this is all happening, this is all the case. And after all, when one is visualizing the Buddhas, then the Buddhas will be there. Since the Buddhas, through the Buddha's omniscience, that wherever the Buddha's mind is, there also is the Buddha's form or body. And so that is the case. If one is mind is concentrating on this kind of practice and preparation, then the Buddhas will be there. So it's not like that if we have a statue or representation of the Buddha, that the Buddha is present, and if we don't, then the Buddha is not present. No, it's not like that. So it's all dependent on the level of one's perception as well. That that if we have whatever kind of quality of statue we have of the Buddha, if we still don't perceive it as an actual Buddha, then it's just a statue, and so on. And then if there's no statue but we are perceiving the Buddha to be present, then the Buddha is present. So sometimes people treat something like the jade Buddha as something extraordinary and superlative and extra sacred or precious. But the Buddha's qualities don't depend on what material the Buddha is made out of. So the Buddha is sacred regardless of what quality of material the Buddha is made from. Sometimes we certainly make that error, isn't it, of considering something which is made of a more valuable material to be somehow more precious. That's a mistake. Rangi mel woto de you trong tang remo de
rangi melwoto ta rangi desa chorwa desa tati cheta cha melwoto sa sagar ke ta yundong yudong jiti, yudong tita, yudong yuremo jiti, chugo sutu ta kaje yudong remo jiti. Di tengdo sata, di tengdo ana zadruwa sanata jidanti kasata zaramba sekere sungudwa zadruwa cha.
Kusha grass.
Kusha grass di ina zadruwa ramba. Kusha grass de ta kusha no ta. 남주 먼저 옹다들의 시도 굿이 된 거요 봐. 굿이 된 거요. 나도 람바스로 거대로 써 주고 근데 이제 다 내가 하면 다 들어왔어. 굿이를 들어왔으기요나. 미신다. 저도 다들 인지 돌아가지도.
학교 상에서
가지도. 가는 내가 믿어.
이거 누가서 네. 믹셀식 다 그래서 민디 트리야. 스트라스 그래서.
스트라스. 다 간제 가이나면은 다디 다디 지다 가서 데 템템 상계 좀 되더라. 아니 가서 데 다데 가래 다데 자긴 주 가래 주다식
자시
주다식은 자치야 표가 왔다. 자비. 난 자디 된데는 제 나올 때 하는 가서 데 슈디 칠에 대한테 아니 뒤에도 슈잖아요. 아니 세버정에 돌아라 하는 거 봐서 봐. 사죠. 다 간제 된게 뒤에 쳐도. 뒤에 쳐도도 와 된다. 된도 자도 왜된 신도 잡아. 제만 나도 다 고셔 인그레 직전에 또 저는 라바도 잡으스게 말와. 고셔 인그다 대대도 자도 왜된 신도 잡아. 제만 나도 돼. 자와 칠 때는 zanamsa matubara sa zanam matuba dingwe de tamatua ngwe yangda wa zuba sanje je za zong yi ju zhe xi le za xie ne sa za yi zhe mo nang du de za wa qi de ne zanam matubara ding de ce zheng e jia ring da bu cha wei ce zam ne ngo ba zuba sanje ba ze ba de ba de de yu ngo jo de ben nam de ji ju de chen yam ne du jia wa yin sa wa da ga ja sang ge zhong de de nga de ji ga so de da ji ge duo ji de ngo ba zuba sanje ba ze ba de ba ka li 주 자송 주 자식인데 어때 자들의 지표 뒤 시에는 뒤에 된데 다 뒤로 튀었잖아. 된데 그래도 어디지?
So then there's a description of what to do like below your cushion, below your seat that you have arranged, and that here first of all you draw a swastika. And that here you can draw it in it says white chalk, and that's sort of like as if it's turning, as in like turning the wheel of Dharma.
Wheel of Dharma 말에 다 뒤치도 소래. Wheel of Dharma 뒤에 봤다.
Really? So it's as if it was like like it was in turning as in the Dharma wheel. So it's a swastika that's drawn, that design on the ground, and on top of that then you arrange, and we were discussing what kind of grass that is being mentioned here. In the English translation it simply says straw, and again it's mentioning ramba is a name of a straw. I was wondering whether it was kusha grass, but in any case it's very soft, and there's a particular way of doing it, that the tips are pointing in towards the center, and the stems are out, and that the strands of grass and straw should not be crossing. And so in this way one creates a softness below one's actual cushion, and that stays there until the end of your practice. And that here this comes from actually a time when the one to become the Buddha received grass from a boy, the grass seller, known as Svasti, and that this is exactly how the Buddha arranged them, with the tips pointing in and with the stems and the ends pointing out, and they weren't crossing. And that it is on this very seat that in the fourth month, on the 15th day, just as it dawned, that he attained full enlightenment. And so this arrangement of grass is said to be like an auspicious, it's something that demonstrated by the previous holy beings in order to enhance the practice of later disciples.
So nga je ne kan de to pe ta so so de nyam ne ji sa ne de pe pe de tin de ba yin na pe de ju ju ba yin na de ge cho la sa me ba yin na ane za yi de shi du jang ba ta mi yang na zhoi kan je ta wa de 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 jen ji de en de kan so so de de ji lu wa yin ji me za kan de guo ge zhe ma de yeah.
And so so you have then the swastika on top of which is the grass, and now you place your cushion. So if you found a cushion that's already one you already have that you're comfortable with, that's fine to use. If not, then you can create a cushion again out of grass, or it says here also very soft grass or yak hair that can be used.
nga je ne kan de to pe pe chu chu ba yin na de ta chu la me wa na za yi de xin de cha ba cha ba am ya na zhuo yue dian la so ba kan ya ru ya ge de ma da zhuo yue dian是呢zhuo yue dian是他说就de bu de bu de就de bu他de bu但两面讲了干这两个行了zhuo yue dian la so ba sa gang rong ya zhong se to la dun zhong se ma wa xi xiang go ba yin zhe
So not a yak hair cushion, like I said. Yes, it's actually a comfortable seat, something that you're very comfortable with. And so again, you create that cushion, that seat that is comfortable for you, and that with the back slightly raised higher and the front a little lower. So the next of the preliminaries, and once you've sorted out your seat, is to make honest offerings and arrange them in a beautiful array. So the offerings here refer to like the receptacles, like water bowls, for example, and that again one makes the offerings and all of these according to one's economic situation. So if you have wealth, then yes, make the best possible, like gold or silver offerings, and other than that, like you can go copper or bronze or iron, and that indeed according to what you can. In other words, that you really have, first of all, that every receptacle is very, very clean, and that and also that you are offering the best that you can, best possible that you can offer. And that again, when it says that when you're making the offerings, like for the water, making water for washing, water for drinking, and so on in bowls, that you are very aware of what is in your mind. So you're not doing this in haste or superficially, or as a kind of a chore. So it's not like correct that maybe you use the best that you have for your own use, and then use inferior things for the triple gem. So whatever is the best that you have, you use that for the Buddha Dharma, the triple gem, and make the offering to the merit field.
야가도 소소세 아니 소소가 사마도 어떻게 비다가 야가도 소소세 아니 소소 사이를 잘 편도 못하는 야 비잖아 비자도 어떻게 이거 말봐
So it's like, and then just using, so making the best possible that you have to the offering.
디아사 체디에서 캔드 장도 연자소 되네 많이 보다 근데 피해대 아니 체디라 가서도 다 같이 지금 캔드에다 아니 잡아 용해다 봐 체디 캡사 뒤에 그러다 지 가서도 어떻게 지게 주게라서 뭐 어떻게다 되게 뒤에 제에 체디 된다체 아니 개다다 연자소 되네 많이 봐다 가르쳐들어서 마주 다 심지어 탐지가 돈도다 마주나게 타더니 뭐 심지어 탐지가 돈도 아다 요한요와 야도 산제 고마르고 진내자 토바자 다 토바자 디제는 군조추 냠백권에다 샹고 그랬어.
So again, when you're making these offerings, again, not to do so for the sake of praise or profit or for a wish for fame. In other words, don't mix your motivation for doing this with the 8 worldly concerns. But you should really think that what I'm doing here, I'm making these offerings in order to be able to attain the state of enlightenment as quickly as possible, in order to be of benefit to all kind mother sentient beings. And this is the sole motivation that is really appropriate here.
아니 표현 갑라 인바이네 샴베 갑라 인바이네 라주고 살아다 랑이 류 타예바 쥐잖아 쥐네 되게 야메나 랑이 토마 매바네 단다고도 깨와 거절랑 요바네 깨와 되게 강가 냠도 치와 피고 요 삽사 아니 치와 피고 요 삽사 다 대자면 랑이 체디 파말라 소바 비비자라 조보조몰라 소바 다가 이제 밤에 심제 다가 이제 라다 침비 참마자 요겐라 소바 타예바 마게 심제 탐제 냠도 치와 피고 요 삽사제
So really, you're trying to do what you can in terms of your motivation and your visualization to make the offerings that you are make it the most benefit for the one offering, and to make it the most meaningful for the offerings that you are setting up. So in this way, you can also multiply the fact that you are not just simply one person making this offering, but you can emanate countless versions of yourself who are doing this offering, or you can visualize all of your previous lives from that same continuum of consciousness since beginningless time, who are also present making that offering, as well, of course, including all sentient beings, being those who are close to you, your family, your mother and father, those who are present, those who are your close friends, those who are enemies, those who you dislike and who dislike you, and those who are neutral to you. And all kind other sentient beings are simultaneously engaging in this act of making offering.
아니 근데 조바 표현 갈래 아니 지금 조바 표현 갈래 다 가제 지금 가져도다 칸에 산지 쳐서만 소로 되잖아. 로 산지 쳐서 소리 받다 돌아 배자 산지 좀 마셔. 다 이제 지금 되게 집되네.
And you can recite then the Gyamdruk, so in the reciting the prayer of refuge and bodhicitta, and go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, through the practice through the merit I create, through giving and so on, may I attain the state of enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. Constantly repeat this as you're making this offering.
다 표현할래 산제 뭐호라 대유에서 초주에 산제 탐제 대유에 삼삼체 다 디도는 표유에서 배다 구셔다 되면거든 다 중앙 이나다 아니 저 카드제 바깝잖아 다 배나 카드 이럴 건데 중앙 이런 거 된대잖아 배 문에 호라 대 표유 삼삼체 구셔다 되면도 개체 세계 되게 많이 받쳤잖아.
So again, as demonstrating here, kind of the kind of intense respect and humility that one can also engage in when one's making these offerings, such as the offering bowls, and that here, that on the one hand there is the certainty in one's own mind that you're actually making this to the actual Buddha, the actual Buddhas, the countless Buddhas in front, and that you are, as Gen is saying, with his robes in holding the robes, and you're not engaging any idle chatter either internally or externally as you're making the offering bowl offerings. So the maximum amount of respect with the maximum amount of recognition of the very significance of this practice. And to really know that the Buddhas are actually present, and to the degree to which we are aware and convinced of that to that degree we will definitely be offering with the requisite respect and appreciation and faith. So that this practice, when doing this, is also often accompanied by the offering cloud dharani, long mantra that you recite with that. And 3 times after you've done it. So that increases the offerings. Dende wala ludu. So next comes then one sitting comfortably in one's arranged seat and adopting the 8-point posture for meditation. And this comes from, actually it's the Vairocana 8-point posture that's referred to, and it comes from the great Ensapa Panchen Rinpoche, where he says, legs and hands and back make 3, lips, teeth, tongue make the 4th, head, eyes, shoulders, breath make the other 4. Together, these are called the 8-fold Vairocana posture. And so these begin then with adopting the full Vajra posture, and then if not, then one can adopt the half Vajra posture. And so then again, this depends on how fit one is, and if one has issues with one's legs, where it becomes not comfortable or impossible even to sit in this way, one of course can sit on a chair. There's no prohibition against that. So again, if one hasn't the possibility because of one's physical condition to sit and adopt these postures, then one has to do what one can, isn't it? It's not vital. But in one's mind, like, one can actually think, even though one is not possible for one, that one is actually sitting in the full Vajra posture. And then with regard to the half Vajra, the half crossed leg position, this is where the left leg is inside and the right leg is on the outside.
그래서
Yeah.
책임도 좀 그래서 강바 연배 다 간자자 강바도 저는 책임도 자주로 강바 연바 나다 예바 7제배 제라서 다 연배 강고 예배 어서 라워도 쇼아 쇼함 라이 복도 쇼았다고 되는 많이 받자 강바 다 강바 어서 연배 인가데 산내가 초여장도 다 산내 투에 말이야 산내가 초여장도 내가 자자
And that it says with regard to the foot of the left leg, that you should avoid allowing that foot to come underneath the right thigh. So it shouldn't go that far, just to be under the right thigh. And with regard to the heel of the right foot, that yeah.
산내가 투에 기자마다 산내가 초여장도 다
Yeah.
맞아.
And the heel of the right foot should be at the groin area, but not necessarily touching it.
자자. 라반냠샤제사 찾아자출라서 라바 가서 라반냠샤제 찾아자출라서 된거 소식 잡고 워도다 라바 연바고 라바 연바고도 제네서 예바 땡도 샤다 예바 땡도 제네서 예바 땡도 제네서 예바다 연배 태봉게서 전이 중세 잡았다면 내게 땡데 개발체시 다가제 들으셨 근데 배 투어만 임바졌다 이제 injection anti TV source is what in the side to
Again, as demonstrating then how to place the hands. So this is the correct kind of posture. Again, this
some
is
people use that way, though this maybe not.
yeah. So in the meditation or the kind of meditation concentration mudra. With the left hand below and the right hand above, and with the thumbs just touching. This is the point Ken is pointing out, not pressed together, just touching at the tips of the thumbs, and that again with the arms out, leaving a gap between the arms and the sides, and the hands held. It said 4 finger widths below the navel. And this is said to be especially auspicious to facilitate the workings of the channels, the inner channels.
다 계속 가지 마음 발라 다 제가 똑바게 조림 거 똑바게 되게 편도 요구 여러 뒤 내가 저 단단한 거 되게 같이 짓고 내가 내고 하고 어때 이내 뒤 공부 뒤 때는 수비기 자 뒤에다 되도 개와 연구에 살았죠. 어떤데 개와죠 마음 발라다 조림 거 똑바게 다 요가스로 문에 데려왔다. 요가 문에 들어가서 조림 거 똑바게 보고 거야. 딱 말해서 ben 남배슈네 셰베 요가지 셰베이나 다 기름도 조림 거 똑바게 해줘.
And so here, of course, it's simply, as it were, pacifying the channels in placing the hands in this kind of mudra. But actually, the reference is towards the completion stage of a highest yoga tantra, when one really is working with the inner channels. And so this is where it becomes very important. And then, again, in reference to yoga and the real yoga, as Gena says, is the generation stage and the completion stage practices of highest yoga tantra. So the spine is straight, with the neck very slightly forward. The teeth and the mouth and lips and so on are left in a kind of a natural position, relaxed. And with the tongue just slightly touching the roof of the mouth. And the mouth, the head should be stable without tilting. And the focus of the eyes should be towards the tip of the nose. And the shoulders are even, you're not leaning one way or another.
What in the look at that long chamber pops, long chamber pops.
And then finally, then you rest the mind on the breath so that it settles down.
Long challo red, I'm gonna go chicken penna, thing at the Samlo, Takacho, chicken penna leva in it. I get a share to Mambujo on the hotel, Samlo to India. That's Samlo the Marazo Yamland, the home dial, 2 to each other. The Samlo in at the Ma Jaju, that Jaju got the long roku drusing. Takaja Chin, Takaja interesting. Takaja Tipa Lepton, Lavatic Lemon, Nagutina. Long debut Martin, yeah, dinner, and a long debut Yale, yeah, debut Martin, debut Yale, what did the church and Takaja got a sumja, yeah, dinner, yeah, debut Martin, yeah, dinner, debut Yale, what a sumja, and dinner, Nanigane Martin, yeah, yeah, Martin. Absolutely. That Martin to Namdo Niba. Namdo, that Jamada Chati, that Kajunga, Yamajel, Jeki, Kangama to such. That two Lambeca and it Chojo Sanga, Janjo Sabatam, and Chilaka to choose some cabin number two. Part of the Napi number part to choose some such. Part to never chasso some such. Not two to a color Sanga, the Chelsea Chilap Tamja, we are cabin number 2 late. And better church with that. Lucem Kangata, church, less of a chasso sometimes. What in the commercial you could check the Malian could be or launch the
And so that, and then this, one can engage in specific breathing exercises at this point once the actual postures of the body have been established, and this is to really settle one into the session itself, to on the one hand dispel the sort of mental proliferation to do with work or conversations that you've had, the kind of stuff that's pinging around in your mind, that you are focusing now on the job ahead, on what you should be focusing on. And one can, for example, use the 9-round breathing exercise in order to really facilitate that by, as Genla was demonstrating, closing the left nostril and then the right nostril alternately, and breathing through one or the other, and then 3 times each, and so that's 6, and then just breathing through both nostrils in 3 rounds, being both an inhalation and an exhalation. And one can accompany all those inhalations with the idea of really inhaling the blessing, for example, of the Buddha's body, speech and mind, or as in very white purifying light. And then one is exhaling again one's distractive proliferations of thoughts, distractions, superstitious ideas, and that can be in the form of black light as well. So one is really rendering the mind pliant and suitable for the upcoming meditation. So again, we're saying this is not a sort of like a quick sort of physical breathing exercise as such, but rather to give yourself time to really bring the particular reflections home, and that means that you are breathing in a very relaxed, even way of both the breathing out and in, and you're not trying to clear your nose. You're really trying to just regulate the breathing very, very carefully, and that even when you exhale, you can pause for a moment at the end of the exhalation before you actually inhale again, and you can pause once you've inhaled to really establish, I've received the blessing of the body, speech and mind of all the Buddhas on the merit field, and then breathe then the next breath and try to keep them even, all breaths like similar, without any noise or wheezing or anything like that. And so that in the form of like the white light, receiving all the blessings of the Buddhas, all the Buddhas of the merit field in the body, all the Buddhas indeed, body, speech and mind, and then exhaling, that really feeling that through the black light entering or exiting, that you are ridding yourself of all distractions, all proliferations, all negative motivations, all compromised motivations that might be lurking in your mind, and they are completely gone. I think such kinds of controlled, relaxed breathing like this, where one is very deliberate and mindful of the inhalation and exhalation, is not just beneficial at the outset of a meditation session like this, but can be very useful for one's health in general, I think, in terms of benefiting those who have blood pressure issues or any other health issues, that one can do no harm in engaging in short breathing exercises like this.
남도 똑반이 받아다 마기바 되겠다 레니 바사바 되겠다 이 바차 잡아가 매우 차수 되지 이거 야텐도 아니 초조 산제도 자주서 바 탐제겠다 지나 탐제 아니 초종수 삼사자 왔다 되는 아니 랑이 니가 가도 팀수 삼삼자 야 마다도 아니 소소게 지금 셈마지마다 강에 채다마다 가래 내가 이네 가리 바이네 지금 미다 참마자 강에 컨테이너만 되고 아니 마 되쳐서 된 예수 야 초된도 초조 산제 탐제게 아니 고소도 위에다 다자 아니 초종수 삼사가 가베나 보자 랑이 니가 가도 팀 왔다 別这刚才全面把차수 다 최주에 리된 최주에 튕겨 야부시 종수 사서 어디는 공부하셔야 되나.
So one can really use this in terms of dispelling kind of a bad day that we have, or a bad time that we had, just to take 5 as it were, and to engage in the 9-round breathing exercises or other breathing exercises in this way, to exhale one's problems, one's issues, that we have some unhappiness, or if we've accumulated some negative karma, that we can dispel that, kind of purify that in the form of the breathing, the exhalation, and then to really breathe in the blessings of all the Buddhas, and to really feel that blessing really comes down to your heart center, that you really have, as it were, inhaled that blessing, and that problems that we may have, our work, that we have maybe some falling out with a friend, that we have issues that are causing anxiety and frustration, that problems and that we exhale them all in the form of that very controlled, relaxed breath out, and then again breathing in the white light that really shows that we have purified it, and indeed again rendered our whole body mind system suitable to engage in Dharma practice, that we've got the right conditions again.
다 롱라 참라 배워 개내서 롱 참라 배 주들라 롱 자전다 숙전다 고바전라 소바 된다 많이 받았다 그죠 우치나 교환이 제게 윤도서 데뷔 전다가 최종 집어지자서 데뷔 마다에 데뷔 야래 좋다가 데뷔 장전에서 땡게진죠 땡게진 검세 검 땡게진에서 검에 넣어두는 거 다가 땡게진 검에 다 넣어도 구투에 되는 요거였어요 인데 가데 찾아 쳔벼서 가데 찾아 가데 거기서 가데 가주를 못 해서 찾아 자와지를 숑람래서 삼대 대회 때불라 류네 둔다 대제대서 롱로 구투 다도 셀스 제송신서.
So then with regard to the breathing, as it says here, again one should use the inhalation and exhalations that are very even, calm, not noisy or forceful or agitated in that way. And that here one can engage in perhaps 21 rounds of an inhalation and exhalation. That's possible again, and you can do this slowly and count each inhalation, exhalation. And that I said, this is very good to create conditions to make your mind pliable for meditative concentration, to make you a suitable receptacle for meditative concentration. And that in the precious Kagyu root text of the great Mahamudra, known as the central path of the conqueror, it says, having set the 7 postures of the body on a comfortable meditative platform, you should do 9 pairs of breathing to purify bad internal winds.
류네 차와텔라 원제 가주베 라마 고마가시제 콤남제 당보 자가르게 차와테 문지 요바 두사 나자 담바 고마가시제서 콤남제 당보 자가르게 차와테바 라 셰와 요장사 랑루 란주제서 란주제 꾸노 레퍼 타바 꾸노 레퍼 타바라 제와 이노서다 오체와 인사 벤제 탑제 점바 쳔비오서 저와 하상 라바제 딜렌 로사시베 타야레 곰남 꾸제 당보고 자가르게 소라주 라 레퍼타바 이노세 다음에 라마 초기세 제수베 치르지.
And with regard to these kind of preliminary of setting up oneself like this, the different points of establishing one's seating posture and the way one places one's body. Again, some previous lamas from the Kagyu tradition, they say that this is identifies with the tradition of writing the names of texts, first of all in the language of India, meaning in the Sanskrit. And that again, there's other holy beings from the past have said that actually it relates to, or it symbolizes one's fate, and so the intention of setting oneself up like this is to enhance one's fate. And it's in this tradition, it emphasizes really how it facilitates how we can set up a very well thoroughly analyzed motivation to begin with. And this is supported by a quote from the Song of Losang's View, responding to the questions of high resolve by the great omniscient Panchen Rinpoche, in particular Losang Choki Gelsen, the 4th Panchen Lama, who says, the incomparable excellent Lama asserts that examining one's own motivation thoroughly at the beginning of all meditation is like the Indian language in the beginning of scriptures.
kulumano wachik tuane cheko uresa tsede kendo jagdo jikden chuje nyegu nyenda tuyane ta gomba inane ta tsede tuyandala juwa da chio kona chago yomarwa tenza ta chima tuyando nyena gomba yin nyamdo takwana tsede kendo jagdo jikden chuje nyegu nyenda so tuyane gomba ina dee kona cheba le kande cheba ina tsechime tuyando mi juda tabata 탐제 chambata 파쇼 tsechime tuyana pemache yungu maryaso 주고 말이었어. 상와 지주래. 최대 제부 되면자 최대 되고 좋아라 지된 바로 되미죠. 지된 바로 되네게 지된지 제부 좋다. 지된 바로 그 되다 제바는 지된지 제부도 주로 용거려 손에 되고 어땠죠.
And then so it is paramount, really, that one examines one's own continuum, and in order to set a good motivation, through really checking that one is motivated, why one is motivated to actually engage in the practice of the stages of the path to enlightenment. And so one has to ask, am I really motivated just for the profits of this life, or for to become renowned in this life? In other words, is my motivation thoroughly polluted by the 8 worldly concerns of gain and respect and fame and so on? And so here, if I think that I'm really striving for future lives, but on examination, I find that actually I am really just after, renowned, fame, big name, and so on, and the gains of this life. In other words, the 8 worldly concerns. Then, regardless of whatever karma I accumulate, and none of it is going to benefit future lives. And so forget about the omniscient state of enlightenment. Even all of the effort that you're doing is not going to benefit future lives. And again, this is backed up by a quote from the Guhya Samaja Tantra, where it says, "You should not wish for the results of this life. By wishing for this life, you cannot achieve the goals of the next life. If you strive for the goals of the next life, the results will extend to this life also." And so, like, if one's motivation is to, for example, attain the state of enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, then that causes will lead what one does, the causes that one creates will lead to that result. But in the meantime, one will also be, as it were, on the side, benefiting one's future lives, and indeed benefiting this life also.
로다 subject 탐제도 산제 고마 탑도 탑에서도 저도 아니 다 가서데 로다 멤버 생제 되네 주바 생제 그도 다 간제 뒤체도 다 줄라라 거와 줄라라도 저소 파제 두에 뭐 보실라고 딜라도 아니 가서로 다 추림 송거래 지바당 그래 소바 공거래 준주점 그래 삼대다 땡가살라서 공거래 대조서는 집에 되다 예요라다 집에 그 라슈 용어들이 도와 아니 제디도 다 용어를 왔다 거들 그 주체서는 대부분 용어들이 와 아니 산제 고만 봐서 아니 개와 침에다 즉 가서데 산제 고만 맞다고 받을래 디지카가 주용대 아니 대마저 제디디기 용어들 왔다 간제 즉 가서데 디지 탐제겠다 가제 중내서 차들이 봐 거들.
And so it stands to reasoning, doesn't it, that if one has the motivation to attain the state of enlightenment, the omniscient state of enlightenment, in order to benefit all sentient beings, and then of course one has, in order to really make that genuine, develop both the aspirational sense of the mind of enlightenment, as well as the engaging mind of enlightenment. And when one knows that the practices related to the engaging mind of enlightenment are the 6 perfections and the 4 ways of accumulating disciples. And with regard to the 6 perfections, that means, doing our best to perfect ethical conduct, to perfect generosity, to perfect patience, to perfect enthusiastic effort, to perfect concentration, wisdom. And like you can see that when one is trying to cultivate qualities like that, of course they are going to be not only, of course, create the causes for that omniscient state of enlightenment, but will definitely benefit future lives, and most assuredly will help you to have a better life in this life. And so again, from the words of Lama Atisha, George Lama Atisha, he says, if the root is poisonous, then the branches and the leaves will be poisonous. If the root is medicinal, then the branches and the leaves will be medicinal. Similarly, any action motivated by the root of attachment, hatred, or ignorance will be solely a non-virtuous action. And again, from a conversation between Geshe Drumtompa and George Lama Atisha. And this is Geshe Drumtompa asking Lama Atisha, what is the result of actions motivated by wishing for happiness and profit in this life? And Lama Atisha answered, the result will be just what you wished for. And then Drumtompa asked, what would happen in the next life? And Lama Atisha answered, your next life will be as a hell being, a hungry spirit, or as an animal. And so it's saying, like, really, if you're motivated and your actions are motivated just for the happiness, gain, and benefit, respect, and so on of this life, then most of that karma can only lead to, will only be the cause for a rebirth in the lower realms. And that if your most of what you're doing is for future life as a celestial being or as a human being, and then most of that karma will only lead to your continual wandering in cyclic existence. And then if you're striving only for your own peace, then the result will be that you will fall into the extreme of the bliss of peace. So it's really emerging, isn't it, that motivation is primary. Motivation is really what establishes first whether what you're doing afterwards is actually even spiritual practice or not, and then to what extent, what kind of extent of Dharma practice you are doing, what quality of Dharma practice you're engaged in. And so it's saying that, okay, look at, in general then, when we look at motivations, the virtuous minds can be ones that are bound in a kind of a lucid faith for the triple gem, or a faith of conviction in the law of cause and effect, the desire to engage in acts of generosity, of protecting one's ethical conduct, etc. So many. But in particular, in this particular context, the motivation really is that the exceptional motivation is that one has to one's motivation is to attain the state of enlightenment. in order to benefit all sentient beings. Another right to generate the state of bodhicitta.
다데 임베제 테나 라니 아니 가서 동에게 나왔다 라니 동에게 나와서 라니 다데 코에 동에게 나왔나시 제가 심자 탐자는 코에 동에게 나티게 동에게 나와 되게 돼 라다 저와 매겐 좀 많이 봐 라라 진짜 다 가서 심자 탐자 라라 진짜 마샤다 임바 마디에 뭐 차직지 제가 좀 많이 맞아 맞아봤다 장이 밀라 맞아 라다 그 맞아봐 지금 마마 제가 지자 말이야 맞아봤다 장이 미쳐봐 마제리소야 아니 체디 다 소소 마이 다좀 마이네 다다 소소로 지 경계 수이나 소소 단다 포도 지 가서도 초투에다 편도 용인데다 지그 수이 말아 왔다 진당신 제다 지다 진기 장바 지 장배사 진지 샤다도 샤다 가서다 샤다도 호서 체념도 상다 샤다리에 서서 왔던 얘기는 다 고바시고를 소로 왔던 샤
And so therefore, the thought that goes into one's motivation begins with the fact of really thinking how, I am really tormented by suffering. But in the same way, all sentient beings are tormented by suffering. And that, all sentient beings have been my kind mother sentient being. And that not only that, it's like there's no one who has not acted in the role of mother for me. And not only that, but they have done so in the role of that kind mother countless times, and that also they have acted in with the same intensity of love and care as my mother of this life has done. And so that has to be considered how incredibly kind all mother beings have been. That we should really immediately dispel the fact that we are, disconnected in some way from others or from all sentient beings. But we actually have this tremendously intimate connection with all sentient beings.
다데 인도 원아 심자 탐자에서 동엘에 저 쿠데 술을 봐봐래 랭게도 술을 요스라바 이나 냠나 데 라라 봐봐 배경사 다 소소를 밥대 요레스 그래서 다 소소 가세 지나도 동에게 나 탑쪽보다데 이나야 소소 미 류덴슬한테 산지게 때마다 제제오래 아니 지 가서래 지 코에 유가리 봐 아니 코안에 대발라 아니 탑 그래서 제국고 또지 다 가서 지 신기 요래 되네 이마 있었다 코데 소소를 밥대 요레스
And then it says that so okay that who has the responsibility, then who does the responsibility fall on or rest with to liberate all sentient beings from this suffering? And it has to be, you have to reach the conclusion that it's my responsibility. And that might be overwhelming initially, but one must look into the situation and say, okay, yes, I know I am suffering the torments of suffering myself, but relatively speaking, I am in a better position to do something. I have attained a precious human rebirth. I have met with the Buddha Dharma. I am aware of the causes of cyclic existence. And I also have some grasp of how to attain liberation from that cyclic existence. And so even though I'm not the perfect candidate, yet I must take on this responsibility.
배자 다데 부서 다데 어서 뷰 심제 탐제기 되는 다자 다데 내단 소소 다데 내단데 심제 탐제다 다지메 파샤죠 다지메 이제 지고 심제 지게 되야 타치마죠 소소 쪽도에 누면도 다데 마세 대마세 아니 지금 년도다 이제 자주메 고마 토바 이번에 심제가 되 년세마도 타치마죠 쪽도면도 세와마도 심제 탐제 양다버서 산제 고마로 거베 뉴바도 미도 다 데이터베 뉴바 수라 요를 라바나 양다버서 산제 나 요바 인자 다지에서 마심제 탐제거도 양다버서 산제 고마로 진내죠 주바치기 진내자서 진내죠 토바 제고도 마제나 탐도 자주가 셈라 녀와 마퉁거 봐도 동동도 공바자스다 데 야네 양도 삼도다 자주가 셈라 줄로 마지가 봐도 배 야네 양도 삼도다다 what is 공부레스 what.
And so yes, I must take responsibility, but I also have to be realistic, because really to liberate all sentient beings from cyclic existence and take them to the state of enlightenment, I forget about that. I can't even do that for one person now. I can't even fulfill the ultimate goals of one being at the moment. But who can do that? If I look at the other possibilities of the different kinds of arhat, the two kinds of arhat being the hearer arhat and the solitary realizer arhat, they apart from being able to benefit sentient beings only very, very partially, they have not the ability to be able to benefit sentient beings like a fully enlightened Buddha who can lead all sentient beings to the state of enlightenment. And so then I ask, so who has that ability? Then of course it is a fully enlightened Buddha who has that. And that's my goal then. I must attain a precious state of enlightenment, full enlightenment, in order to be able to fully benefit all kind, mother, sentient beings. And for that reason, I will do my very, very best and continuously, again and again and again, seek to cultivate an experiential experience of developing the mind of enlightenment, a bodhicitta.
보다 녀와 맞은 거 봐도 배 야나 양도 시바상 편도 못 야나 양도 삼로다 야나 양도 야나 양도 곰 야 몰라면 야 주지 받자도 되제 제가 딱 같이 디기 가서도 갈가서 녀와 맞은 거 봐도 녀와 가서 돼서 즉 semje 가서 통화이네 엄매도 용되지 가서 카도 용투에지 용투에 중국으로 왔다 시 삼로 시야 땅 먹어 뱉더니 카도 내투에지 왔다 되지
And so that's a mere understanding of the mind of enlightenment isn't sufficient here. One has to reflect on this again and again and again and again and again, and one has to really meditate on it. One uses every possible means to make it like one's second nature. One has to kind of use the descending nectar light meditation, invoking the blessings of all the Buddhas to try and inspire one to this, to make it sort of like one's default position, that when you see any other sentient being, that this thought of wanting to attain enlightenment for their benefit arises automatically without having to cultivate it. It's something that is automatic in one's experience, and so this is very, very important.
심지어 컨디션 통화인 뭐네 아니 동네 탐자 대화 탐자 때문에 저게 산재 공부 두긴 있으시다 대체도 산재 공부 두긴 있으시다 놀라지 가서 삼도 동안 먹어봤더니 랑 슈가 차도했지.
So it's something that kind of naturally arises whenever one sees any type of sentient beings that, wants, I say, I must eradicate all their suffering, I must establish them in every happiness. For that reason, I will attain a state of enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. Again, something that arises spontaneously and automatically.
먼저 배자를 감고 아니 대백깔에도 미싱싱이 지하는 거로 장주 삼삼로 당고요도 문에 심제님들 저와치도 된 지목거나 매되겠지. 좋아거나 매되겠지. 다들 저는 라는 냠랜다 라는 지금 로종 제대했다. 남준이 다 차트금도 차트금이다. 그것도 개체주 디 미게 심제님들 저와치고 레토바치 고도.
So we must see the results of our book study and our practice in our interactions with sentient beings. It's not good enough to be inspired whilst reading, but then it's gone when we close the book, or to be in a great state of mind in the midst of our blissful meditation, but then we're actually interacting with sentient beings and there's no taste of that, there's no sign of that at all when we're actually next to and interacting with other sentient beings. So we must see the results of what we're studying, what we're practicing in our interactions with others.
다소 삼마담다 삼로 땅만에 거두 있는 국가 비교 되겠죠. 다 무엇을 라레 돈에 제마 제토마도가 리미테이션로 리미테이션에 다 고체요래. 다 삼로 돈에다 거두 있네. 다소 배주 마다나 따라와. 배주 땅만에 거두 있는 국가 비교 되겠죠. 국가 비교 되겠죠.
So that when we're operating at the point of thought and reflecting like this, trying to bring our best forward in all situations like this, there is no limit to the opportunities that we have. But of course, when it actually comes to enacting what we're doing, to actually physically help and so on, of course there's limitations, isn't it? Because everything has its own particular circumstances and we're limited by circumstances. But in terms of our motivation, in terms of what our ideal is in our own minds, there's no limitation that we can practice and use that all the time. And that's it's free to do that. It doesn't require any expenses. Otherwise, in actually benefiting physically, we may be limited by our own lack of funds and so on. And so we have to take the opportunity whenever it arises for us, and that is in the actual enacting what we're talking about, because the opportunity is always there in the mental side of things. And also to really see that also we're constantly, isn't it, interacting with sentient beings. It's not like we're living in such an isolated situation that we don't have any connection. And so we have to really make each and every connection special, and to bring the best to each and every connection by really developing that motivation of bodhicitta. And so we should see really that those with whom we are, connecting with on a regular basis, our relatives, our mom, dad, our friends, our colleagues, and so on. Again, that's an especially important field of experience for us. That's like our capital, our basis, our foundation to build up that mind of enlightenment. And so really it's the benefit that we bring in those situations to those with whom we are close, to those with whom we connect on a daily basis, our regular retinue, as it were. That is actually the preliminary cause, as it were, for the development of that expanded mind, wishing to benefit all sentient beings. And so we have to recognize that this is the reality of how really to make a difference with one's study and one's practice, and to really be careful not to constantly engage in big talk and then no action, as it were, afterwards. And so that these opportunities to benefit should be something that we automatically, spontaneously take delight in. That we are very, very delighted to do what we can. And then when we can't, we just simply say, sorry, I can't help in this situation. But in terms of our thought, in terms of our intention, of course, it's always to be of benefit.
다 생이 상황이 개톤다 개마도네 쥐마 춘제가 삼로다네 쥐마 춘제가 삼로다네 바다 디고 니바소로 쥐바소자 아니 디가네 아니 셈게 디심베가네 아니 다 잡루체 잡루도 순네죠.
And so then follows, then from that frame of mind, having generated that frame of mind, that mind of enlightenment, and to have it as genuinely as possible. But if not, then just even fake it till you make it, as much as you can. Then one earnestly goes for refuge.
then the Tawa Tonga Ju, Lama Ita Sanja Jasapako, Chujo Soma Soja, Kone Sugar, what the next commercial with the check.
And so this requires then the generation of that visualization of the refuge merit field. And so in a space in front, in a straight line in front, we visualize a lovely, precious, high throne, which is supported by 8 great snow lions, and it's very broad, and then on this is a variegated, multicolored mandala of a lotus, moon, and sun disk seat, on which sits my own kind root guru in the aspect of the conqueror Shakyamuni Buddha. And the Buddha has his body is sort of like the color of burnished gold, and he has the Ushnish, one face, 2 hands, and that the right hand is in the earth touching mudra, and then the left hand is in the meditative equipoise mudra, holding an alms bowl filled with nectar. And that the body of the Buddha is wearing the saffron robes of a monk, and that he displays the 32 major and the 80 minor marks. That its body has the kind of a natural, pure, clear light. It's radiant, it's resplendent, it's luminous. And that from kind of like within there's like a halo of light around the body of the Buddha, emanating from the body of the Buddha, and that he is seated in the Vajra posture, the full Vajra posture, and around the Buddha are the direct and lineage gurus. Then the meditational deities, Buddhas, like the 1,000 Buddhas of the Fortunate Eon, the Bodhisattvas, then the Dakas and Dakinis, and the Dharma protectors, making up the merit field of the refuge merit field. So we leave it there. It's 12 o'clock now. So this is the refuge merit field, and the actual merit field will be described later. So then it'll include in that, of course, very quickly then how to actually incorporate, once one has established these preliminaries, the actual topics of the graduated path to enlightenment. And so I'd really emphasize what's most important here is, in terms of the graduated path, that wherever we were going, whatever we were doing, whatever kind of situation we find ourselves in, to do what we can to focus the mind on the generation of the mind of enlightenment. And that, it's not like we have to demarcate some special time in order to do this. We have the opportunity to, in a way, reflect, appreciate, and develop, cultivate that mind of enlightenment at all times, and even in the form of aspirational prayer. That may we be able to really get a hold of this mind as quickly as possible. And so we do our Lamrim prayer. So from my 2 collections, vast as space, that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all those mentorship. May I find the best of complete graded paths of the teachings. May I please all the Buddhas by my practice. Using skillful means strong by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings, which points of the path as I have discerned them. May I uphold Buddha's teachings for a very long time. with my heart going out with great compassion, whatever direction the most precious teaching is not yet spread, or once spread have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted down to his peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time, by even this great path of enlightenment completed, due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their children. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and create conducive conditions for practicing the excellent paths never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may they always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread every way.